everyone, and welcome to the Woman's Cave. I was about to say something completely different. I have no idea what that was. It was like the and then I thought about trucks. So it probably would have came out the And I Truckers podcast. And I don't truck. Wait, is that a word? I don't truck. I don't drive trucks? I think that's how that goes. Anyway, long, hectic, busy day that you don't want to hear about, but I'm here not looking cute. But what else? We're going to roll on with life. And in case you were wondering what this rambling is leading up to, it's the fact that we wrote books. We would mean I'm Winona. I remember to introduce myself. Oh, high five to me. Yes. And there's normally a Jade, but she's missing today. And the books are, and I thought divorce was bad, and I thought being run up was easy. If only I were me, Widow's Web, Widow's Debt, and Foreign Coffee. If you're counting, that's six books that you can listen to wherever you get audiobooks. And there's another 11 or more. We keep writing new ones, so there might be more than that on www.andithoughladies.com. And no, I'm not going to do it like I'm a car salesman today. Woo, I don't know what a car salesman is. Anyway, you're not here to hear about me. You're here to hear about our wonderful guest. Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all. And my name is Farena Bajwa. I'm the author of Flowers Grow on Broken Walls. It's a poetry book about self-discovery and the path to healing. It is my first book that I've ever written before, and I self-published it on December 3rd of last year. And I'm just really excited for people to read and for it to be out there. Also because it's completely my own work, from the writing to the illustrations to the book cover and also the editing. So everything basically. So it is my child, I would like to say, a child that I'm sending out into the world now.
So what inspired you to write this book?
What inspired me? Well, the poems are based on my experiences. My whole world kind of fell apart after I got my heart broken. And I was struggling to the point where I was asking myself, what am I even doing here? And every doubt that I ever had about myself and every unpleasant situation that I've ever been in the past came back crashing down on me. And it felt like I was reliving all of these bad moments that I have ever experienced in my life. And I realized that it wasn't much about that person leaving my life, but more about all these shadow aspects about myself that I never paid much attention to, that those had finally caught up with me. And I understood that this person could only fill a space in my heart because I was the one who left it empty in the first place. So the heartbreak was surely a trigger to all of the misery that came afterwards. But this book is ultimately about loving yourself and coming to terms with who you are and accepting every part of yourself and knowing that you're good enough no matter what anyone says. And also, I've been journaling my whole life, but one day, instead of writing a typical diary entry, it became a poem. And then the next day it became another poem. And I kept on writing because these words were just spilling out of me. And it felt like these thoughts that I had in the back of my mind suddenly wanted to be seen on paper. So I wrote. And I think after my 20th poem or so, I realized that I was writing something that could actually help someone else feel less alone and help someone realize that no matter what they are going through, happiness is always going to come back. And no matter how endless this misery feels, it's going to end at some point. And this is why I decided to publish it.
Oh my goodness. I love the point that happiness is always going to come back. Yeah. And it is so true. After anything, it takes a while. You got to wait on it, but happiness does come back. And I'm glad that you found it through the art of poetry. So why is this book important at this time in history?
I think in this time of age, we have to be reminded of our self-worth more than we ever had to before, because of the influence of social media, because of the expectations from your superiors at your workplace, maybe, or because of the pressure from your inner circle, and your inner circle being your friends, family, whoever's in your inner circle. And it's this constant comparing with one another and admiring what he or she has instead of celebrating our own uniqueness, and embracing every aspect of ourselves. it's like we can never be like the other person anyways, because we have completely different stories to begin with. And the thing with comparing is when we start to compare ourselves with someone else, we are going to be losing, because anytime we compare ourselves with someone else, we never see ourselves as a whole. We always see this one thing that we are lacking, but the other person has. And now suddenly, because of this small thing, we seem to be lacking in every other area of our lives as well. So where does this comparing come from, or where does it start? As I mentioned, it starts when we feel like we are lacking in something, or if we've constantly been trying for something, but we are losing all of the time. And then insecurities start to develop if those insecurities have not been there in the first place. And if the thing about this feeling of lack and feeling that you're not good enough and being all these insecurities, you have to dig deeper for that. You have to do some soul searching, and probably even have to go into your childhood to find out where do these emotions come from and when did they start to unfold. So, but what I can tell you is that we have to understand that no matter how many failures we have to endure in life, we are always on the right track, even if we are failing. Being successful all of the time doesn't necessarily mean that we are on the right path. Sometimes we have to fail in order to get to the right path. And sometimes we have to take this discourse to get into the destination. So this is also what I'm covering in the book as well. Here I was thinking my whole world was falling apart when it was actually rebuilding itself and becoming something much bigger and better. And when it comes to the outer appearance, because this is also something where it's a huge thing when it comes to insecurities, all right? So there's also something that I wrote in the book. I'm going to break it down, so it's not going to be like a 3-hour interview. It goes something along the lines, no one has my eyes, no one has my lips, no one has my face. So I'm calling it perfect as it is. And it's so simple, but it's so true. You are unique. There is no one like you on this planet. There is no competition. And there is no one that compares. So if there's no one that compares to you, who says that you are not perfect the way you are? And by perfect, I mean unique by perfect, not the stereotype perfect that society uses. So who says that you're not perfect? And now there might be people saying social media. Social media tells me that I'm not perfect. And I understand that, I get that. Social media is a whole nother topic for itself, which I don't think we have the time to cover that. But what I can tell you is that almost everybody knows that what you see on social media is not the 100% truth. So if you combine this knowledge about social media just being a collection of the perfect angle, the perfect light, a series of photos that they took, but you're only seeing this one photo on your feed, and now they're probably thinking, oh my God, they got it right on the first take, which is probably not the case. So if you combine this knowledge with the truth that you know about yourself, and this is that you are unique and there is no competition and there is no one that compares, you will be unlocking the inner freedom and you're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. You just have to believe in this truth and know that it exists. So this was a really long answer. I'm not sure. I don't even know what the question was.
But no, you definitely answered it. Like that social media has a greater grasp on our life and influence over our lives today than it did any other time in history. So knowing who you are and being grounded in that is very important before even delving into that world. And knowing that you're fine just the way you are. That is beautiful. And I'm glad that your poetry is teaching people that and reminding them of of what makes them unique and special. And it's that's not the latest picture on Instagram. So what lessons have you learned while writing? Because you are a new writer. So what did you learn while writing this book?
Yeah, there's actually one particular lesson that I learned, and that is I cannot write after scheduled times or after specific set topics. I have to write what I'm feeling in this exact moment. To give you an example, I once sat down to write a poem about women being strong and independent, because this was something that I wanted to cover in my next chapter anyways. So I thought, okay, I just finished chapter 1, so why not go along the line of contents and go chapter by chapter? So I started writing the next poem in line, basically. And it became something completely different by the end. It kind of shaped its form throughout the poem and became something about the world being a magical place, and we just have to open our eyes and acknowledge the smallest things, because this was what I was initially thinking and feeling that day. There were so many beautiful things happening, like there was strangers smiling at me and people holding doors open, and I even got a coffee for free that day, so that was amazing. There was like, oh my God, what a great day. It cannot get any better. So this is what I was thinking all day long, but somehow I decided to just go by the next poem that was in line. And yeah, so this is what I learned I'm not really good at, just writing after specific set topics. And if I had to, I would have to focus really, really hard on that poem and like dig for those emotions and dig for this message that I would like to come across. But this is not necessarily how I like to write. I don't like to force things. I like for the words to flow. So this is, yeah, I absolutely think that poems have a life on their own anyway. So this is, yeah, so this is one thing that I learned. And when it comes to writing in general, what I learned is that writing allows me to go into the depths of my mind and unlock emotions that I otherwise wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have sat down to write. And it just writing helps me to understand myself, and it feels really therapeutic and just really liberating.
What you were saying is so beautiful. I mean, just so beautiful. Oh, shoot. Our last question. Well, no, not our last question. What 3 pieces of advice would you give any author that was thinking about writing a book when they're sitting down looking at that blank page? What would you tell them to inspire them?
Okay. 3 advices. Well, the first one would definitely have to be, don't compare yourself to any other author. You will never have the same exact success story as them, and you will never write the same exact story as them. So don't bother, focus on yourself, focus on the joy that you have by writing. Does it feel therapeutic for you? Is it liberating for you? You know, focus on these positive emotions, because these are the ones that actually matter at the end. Who cares if you're famous and successful, but you're not happy? Are you happy when you're writing? Focus on that and the rest will come. This would be advice number 1. And then the second would have to be, don't be afraid to show your true colors. Don't be afraid to show who you truly are and how you are truly feeling inside, or how you felt truly inside. There's always going to be at least one person that can relate to it and feel less alone because of it. So, and if you felt that you have been called to write, there must be a reason behind it. So don't overthink it. Just take that pen, take that paper, or go into your laptop, however you want to write, and start. And the rest will make sense anyways. All you have to do is start. And the third is actually the most important one. It's enjoy the process, because after all, it's writing that's the fun part. Publishing is not fun, at least if you're self-publishing. And it's just work. You know, we don't want to work; we want to have fun. Okay, so focus on the writing, focus on the process. And what we have to keep in mind is that the goal itself is not what made our dream come true. It's the road to the goal. So enjoy every step of the way and celebrate it and enjoy the ride.
Now, where can people find this book? Where can we pick it up and support you by buying it?
Oh, thank you so much for mentioning that. Yeah, well, I can make it really easy for you. You can just go to my website, farenabajwa.com, and go to buy now or shop. And there you will have a list of different options on where you can buy the book, like on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles and stuff.
Is there any place that you want people to follow you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at Brilliant Mess. If you like to, you can just stop by.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And we're so excited about your first book, especially since it's really about finding your own uniqueness and appreciating it in a society that does still look at norms. So I'm very excited about this book. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. I'm Winona, and I'm one of the And I Thought ladies. And you can find out everything that your ladies are doing at www.andithoughladies.com. And while you're there, go down to the middle of the page and see the charities that we proudly support. Maybe you can take some time out of your schedule and give them a little help too. We thank you in advance for that. Remember that wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona and the Missing Jade. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.